I'd like to call to order the Pleasant Grove City Council in our work session this evening and on this Tuesday, September the 15th, 2020. We welcome everyone who has joined us here. We have 4 of our council members here with us. We're expecting the 5th shortly, and we have various staff, and we welcome the general public who have joined us here this evening, and those who have joined us electronically. We welcome you. Our first item of business on our work session this evening is a community service award. So we'd like Kyle and Carrie Fox to come forward right now at the podium, if you would. We feel like we have, these are our celebrities of our town here.
This one.
So, oh, that's the one right there. But we want you to talk there for a minute there too. So, you know, we
Come more often, I'd know.
we would like to honor you two this evening for the many years that you've been. We know it started in Pleasant Grove, but how you've carried on Follow the Flag in many other places, honoring those who have fallen, and thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do for our community. And we would just have a small appreciation this evening to give to you for your efforts in that, and hope that you'll continue and that we can help you and assist you with that in your endeavors, and especially hopefully it'll look a little different next year, maybe if we're past this COVID stuff there. So Kyle, would you, or Gary, would you guys like to make any comment to the council right now?
I would just like to say how grateful we are for the team feel it's been here in Pleasant Grove to have you guys on our side. I know the first year I didn't really ask a lot of permission, but since then I have, and I think it's been a good relationship. So allowing us to do something what's good and not have too many hoops to jump through to do it, and it kind of just speaks for itself, and good things have been happening. So just thanks for supporting us, because without it, it very well could have been squashed a long time ago. So it's been great.
You know, I know in my discussions with the Forest Service, they're really believe in what you do, and they want to be they're behind you 100%. Only they have some of their restrictions our local people have to do to make everybody above him happy. So, yeah. But you know, they really appreciate what it does for our community, and know it is. So you have their support.
Yeah,
so.
I will say we sure didn't realize what we were really up to in 2015, but it makes clear sense in 2020 why we're doing what we do.
So, thank you. If you come forward, I've got this certificate and would like to get a picture with you. I present you this, and
Why don't we have council kind of get together, and
Together here.
Kyle and Carrie and in the front there, we'll get a photo taken.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thanks, Kyler.
thank you, Kyle.
Will you give them a hand?
We love you.
Love having you here.
Does any of the other council want to make any comments to the boxes?
Just love having them here. You know, they bring a level of patriotism that I've never felt before, and for that I'm grateful.
Kyle, so when my mom notifies me from Idaho what's going on down in my backwoods here and lets me know that I need to go, you've reached a new height. So thank you again. So
Thank you.
And I'll just, so the first year, Pleasant Grove was in a very interesting situation. There were a lot of citizens that didn't know if other citizens in town liked them. It was just an odd feeling. There were people that felt like if you don't believe like I do, then you're an idiot. And there was this back and forth, and it was getting very uncomfortable to go to the store. It was uncomfortable to go talk to your neighbor because you didn't know if your neighbor felt like you did. But there was a moment when the flag happened where I was standing next to someone who I knew had spoken ill about me on social media the night before. But there we stood, right shoulder to shoulder. And you made that moment happen. It was something that you created in town where we all knew that there was at least one thing that we loved. And we have a lot of work still to do, but every year to be able to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, and say, no, this is worth fighting for. Anyway, thank you.
And then the next day, it went back.
Actually, later that evening. Later that evening.
By noon. No, I apologize. I missed the first couple minutes. I was running from work. But I kind of, Carrie, I don't even know if I told you this story, where I came to pick up pumpkin seeds from you guys, and it was when before you had built your new home, and it was the first year, and Kyle from the kitchen window said, see that canyon? I want to hang a giant flag there, and I'm like, okay, this guy's lost his mind. And I don't know if you guys know, I went to high school with Kyle, so we've known each other for a long time, but I'm like,
So you knew he was crazy.
so I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Just kind of, pandering, like, yeah. And then it actually happened. And it was like, okay, if Kyle and Carrie Fox have an idea, like, they will make it happen.
Yeah.
And just hang on for the ride because it's going to be amazing. But when he said that, I'm like, first of all, who would even think about hanging a giant flag like in a canyon? Like, where do you get an idea like that?
Yeah.
How are you going to make this happen? But I just said, yeah, we'll support you because I knew it would never happen. And then it did. But the parking lot, I remember in that first ceremony, maybe like 200, 150, 200 of us. And when that flag unfurled, it was tears and emotions, and it was like one of the most patriotic, beautiful moments. I can't even describe it. Like, I will always remember it, but I can't, even do it justice by
what?
describing it.
I'll describe it.
Okay, do it.
Because it was so crazy. The flag came out and the song built and the flag
Yeah.
did this and it shimmied up. And then when the cymbals crashed, the flag did this and the crowd again. Like it was,
And then the sun came up
amazing.
over the mountain, and it
Yeah,
was like,
it was
you
like
could not ask
we
for a
didn't
better.
do that, but yeah, it was.
No, you did
meant
do
to
that.
be, for
That's the
sure.
thing, is you did do that. And so just thank you. And I love that Pleasant Grove is on the map around the world. Like, this isn't just Pleasant Grove. We're on the map around the world for the flag. Again, because you and all these volunteers have come together, and that's something I want to be known for forever. I remember Kyle said, we might take it to other cities. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, no.
You're keeping this right here in Grove Creek Canyon.
We will do whatever we
because
need to.
we will do whatever we can to keep you here and it has flown in other places, but.
And we're okay with that.
And we're okay with that. That's okay, as long as you're here on the 4th. But everything that has come from the flag, and to be known for that, that's great. That's what Pleasant Grove, our patriotism is all about. So thank you for creating that. And I'm looking forward to many, many more years. I don't know if you guys are, because I know how much work it is. But I hope you guys are, because we're going to do everything we can to support you in that effort. And it's awesome. Like, I'm so proud that we have this in our community. So.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say one more thing. This does have my name and Carrie's name on it, but almost everyone in this room and watching, and there's volunteers, I don't even know who they are anymore. So it's, from day one, it was an idea that we had, but we couldn't do it on our own. So it's actually many more than just us that make it take place.
Well,
So.
and you're both always good to recognize other people I think you're the face of all the flag, but you're always very, very quick to recognize others and their efforts. And so that's awesome, because there's not a lot of people in your position that would do that. And so we're aware of all the other help, and you guys make that known publicly. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Emery wants
Thank
to
you.
tell you something.
I love Follow the Flag.
You love Follow the Flag. Thanks, you
And it has
guys.
been fun to watch Emery grow up.
Teach them young, that's right.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, I'll turn the time over to our city manager on the presentation on a development project in the Grove.
We have a potential project that we're going to unveil to you tonight. When I say we have the real estate agents that are involved, and we also have the developer now. The developer's in Texas right now with their corporate headquarters on the project they want to bring to Pleasant Grove. And so they're going to give us a presentation. We're going to try to use some technology to involve Matt Gertsch and Randy. I don't remember Randy's last name. What was that? Randy Douglas. Sorry, Randy, you're probably listening. Can you unmute that? Can you unmute them? But we also have Truett Chamberlain here. Truett's the real estate agent, the one that's really working on some part of this deal. And so I'm going to have Truett come up, and he'll be the one that will talk through what we have. He has some handouts for you to review and look at, and he's going to talk you through those. And then we have Matt on the line. Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. We can hear you.
It's great.
And if you want to turn, I don't know if you're in a position to turn your camera on or not, but if you do, just be aware that you'll be flashing in front of 20 or 30 people here as part of our meeting. That's up to you whether you want to do that or not. And so then Matt can participate in how he needs to. So with that, Truett, we'll turn it over to you and have you take over.
Thank you very much, Scott Darrington. As mentioned, my name is Truett Chamberlain. I work for Berkshire Hathaway Commercial Real Estate. My partner is Melissa Nelson. She works with Remax Equity. This is a co-brokerage endeavor, in which case we represent Matt Gertsch, who is a proposed buyer for 20 acres there off the Pleasant Grove Boulevard exit, just south of the Arnar Barbecue. Do I need to remove my mask or?
You can.
You can.
Truett,
Oh, good.
Can you pause just for a second? There was one thing I forgot to mention that's important to know. This is not the council giving approval on this project tonight. This is them giving you a concept that if the council is interested in this project, this is not a yes or no, but if the council is interested, there are some things that need to take place as far as changing to the code in order to accommodate this project. So what they're looking for is a little bit of feedback from you, but what you say tonight doesn't bind you to anything at the end of the day. But I think they want to get a feel before they proceed and spend a bunch of money on certain things on kind of where the city council's at, and also give you an opportunity to ask a lot of questions about what they're proposing to do. So go ahead.
Perfect, thank you very much. That is true. As mentioned, Matt Gertsch is a proposed buyer. He would like to buy about 20 acres from Atrium, the current property owner, located just south of Arnar Barbecue off that exit, Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Part of the project is he wants to build what he owns currently is a Rush Funplex, which is a proposed 73,000 square foot indoor facility, which will cater to bowling, miniature golf, laser tag, arcade play. Also another component of this is another facility called Big Shots, which is a competitor directly to Topgolf, as you guys may have even experienced up in Salt Lake. In front of you is a 23-page document just to give you an idea of the proposed renderings that we would obviously present to the city through Daniel Cardenas and Scott Darrington for their approval, then obviously present it in front of the city. This project from start to finish would estimate to be about 12 to 14 months from breaking ground to completion, in which case Matt Gertsch is also the developer and builder of these facilities. He owns a construction company. And Matt, sorry, I might butcher this, but how many years have you been in the business in construction?
I think I'm going on 18 now.
18, so he knows his way around heavy machinery, what's needed to get the proper building permits in place. Are there any questions at this point?
No.
Matt, if you want to, feel free to jump in and mention what you feel is needed.
Truett, were you intending to go page by page here?
Yeah, we can. So the first page there, I do apologize when I hit print, the first page printed portrait mode, but all the other pages are landscape mode. But that's the proposed look of the Rush Funplex, which is the 73,000 square foot indoor facility. Page 2, it's the actual indoor layout of the facility. You have things, as mentioned, laser tag, bowling alley, arcade play, indoor trampoline, bouncing, bumper cars, a proposed go-karts, which, again, we know we have to talk to Scott Darrington. We know that you have the grid go-karts. We've kept that in mind. Page 3 is another, this is an actual rendering of the building that Matt is in the process of building up at Jordan Landing. It's his second Rush Funplex location, the first one being there located in Syracuse, Utah. That facility is slightly larger. I think it's 120,000 square foot indoor facility, but that gives you an idea of what's been proposed already. Pages 4 and 5 and 6 are again different angles to the building. Again, this is catered to the Jordan Landing site, which is sloped. Obviously, the one in Pleasant Grove is more flat, and we would amend the design accordingly. Page 7 is just welcoming you to Big Shots. The concept, again, they're a direct competitor to Topgolf. If you know what that is, it's a fairway play. You hit off a tee box. It's not just playing golf, but there is food involved, things like that, that you can play miniature golf. Page 8 is an overview of Big Shots. Page 9 is an actual rendering and what it looks like at one of their locations in Vero Beach, Florida. This is the first concept for Big Shots. It took off very well, and Big Shots is proposing to build 40 new locations throughout the nation within the next 5 years. So currently, Matt and Big Shots, they have approved plans for a Big Shots location in St. George, Utah. That location is on the south end of St. George as you go through the pass, the mountain pass, right there in that community development. They have broken ground and that is underway. Page 10 is kind of their remarks in terms of who this caters to, the Big Shots complex. That being families of all ages, from young and old, the avid golfer looking to improve their golf game, or the social aspect, the high school kids that just want to meet together, have fun, maybe do a little competitive play with their friends. Now, something about Big Shots is their business model is slightly different than Topgolf in the sense that Big Shots uses Doppler radar in each one of their golf balls. It's a chip, and that chip can register the height, length, and velocity of the ball. Why that's important is you can actually simulate play on the TV like an arcade. Maybe a bubble will pop up on the screen. If you hit it in the right direction, and if the ball gets into the trajectory of the simulated balloon, it will pop it, something like that. Page 11 is the competition. They're very well aware of the proximity of Topgolf. They've done a market research study, and they feel like there's enough demographics in Utah County, Southern Utah County, South Salt Lake County, which will cater to both facilities just fine, that being the Topgolf and the Big Shots. So they don't feel like there's much competition there. Page 12 is the kind of the vibe and the style of the play. That's the view from the tee box. As you can see, there's food, fun, and activity there. 13 is, it's not only golf like I mentioned, it's eating, drinking, socializing. Matt will go through the proper channels to get an alcohol license. There will be alcohol served or proposed alcohol served on this facility. There will be a designated area for the adults to enjoy said beverages, obviously limiting that access to the youth, that they can't have access to that. Again, page 14 is the technology that we talked about, how it's Doppler radar. Number 15 is the design of meeting rooms. These rooms are catered to all ages, but more so the professional. We know that all around us here in this city, there are a lot of big companies, doTERRA, Kohler's International, BMW. You have a lot of big companies that perhaps they want a different venue to host business meetings. So in this type of setting, a company can come, they could brand their name in the room if they'd wish. That way you can have corporate events, not just family events. Page 16. Now, this is the start of the actual proposed look of the Big Shots Big Shots Golf. Giving you the elevations, the 2-story, ample parking more than enough lighting, LED, to kind of fit the style that's there in the Grove. The Grove complex is very bright, very welcoming, and we want to continue with that look and feel. Page 17 is the floor layouts for the 2 floors. It's proposed that there will be 60 golf bays, obviously arced in a U-shaped fashion to allow for the maximum allowable play at any given time. Page 18 is some of the highlights that we feel like the city would enjoy, that being tee boxes to be utilized approximately 50% of the time. The estimated annual players guests that will come through the doors just for the Big Shots golf facility, this does not include the Rush Funplex, is 800,000 people. Annual revenue from food and beverage alone is estimated to be $6 million. This does not include the retail ticket purchases, golf club purchases, mini golf facilities, things like that. Customer that we're drawing, the demographics will be about 40-mile radius. That covers from here all the way to about Springville, maybe further south, all the way up to Draper and a little bit further north. Like I said, construction will be about 10 to 12 months. We're guessing because of the coronavirus that could slow things down in terms of construction. That's why we think 12 to 14 months. Hours of operation from 9 a.m. to midnight. Obviously, of course, we know that there's maybe a sound ordinance or a light pollution ordinance that we'd have to discuss with Scott Darrington and Daniel Cardenas to make sure that we hit that. Another perk is in today's economic time, we feel like we'll be adding 120 jobs to the jobs here in Utah, which is perfect for everyone. Page 19 is an aerial view of what the building with the fairway looks like. You'll see in the background there are pillars. Those pillars that hold the netting will be approximately 125 feet. Of course, we're willing to adjust that according to the city code, but we want to keep in mind that the nets do have to be high in order for people not to hit over the netting, hit people, pedestrians, cars, things like that, because we are right along Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Page 20 and 21, those are side views of the building. That will house the AC units and things of that nature. And then page 22 is the actual schematic or photometrics of the fairway with the building, showing you the greens, the shape of the fairway compared to the building. And then I know I mentioned this earlier, but the last page, page 23, that's the actual rendering for the St. George location. All said and done, Matt believes that this would be a viable project. Obviously, 20 acres is a lot. These 2 facilities alone will encompass about 12 acres, 12 to 14 acres. The remaining 6 acres, we're going to be proposing that for a office building development. We've been approached by several companies already, gymnastics centers, indoor basketball venues, things of that nature. So the extra 6 acres would be something that we would work closely with the city to make sure it fits within the city guidelines. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Truett.
Any questions from the council?
I just a really quick, is the figures you're getting, is that coming from is it Vero Beach? Is that where you're getting those figures?
That's where the numbers are coming from on average. We realize that Vero Beach is not the same demographic as Utah County, more specifically Pleasant Grove. We actually scaled that model down. Their numbers are actually higher than that. They're up in the 13 million, 14 million range. Now keep in mind that that figure is only for the golf facility, that it does not include what the Rush Funplex would bring in. But we would, of course, once it comes back to the city officially, we'll have those numbers ready for you.
How long ago was the complex in Syracuse built?
Matt, you'll have to answer that one.
It's been there for about 10 years.
Okay. And you said there's one that is breaking, but the one in St. George is golf only?
One in St. George is only golf, yes.
And then the one in West Jordan, is that the complex only?
That is,
The
yes.
indoor complex, okay.
Yes. So this will be the first location where both parties will merge, creating a synergistic location where people can come work, people can come to play, and people can just come to have fun. The lights alone on top of these pillars, they're bright LED lights. They'll be seen as far south as Payson, and as soon as you come over the point of the mountain, that's how much draw these lights will bring.
So how is it facing north and south? Is that? So
yes,
So why put a fence up down on the south side? We can just hit them into the freeway there and pick out a few cars. and-
That's awesome. We could try to develop the technology to do that, but we don't think it's fair. Honestly, the true answer is that it has to face north or east because of the sun. When you
Oh,
play, it's
yeah.
midday or evening. If it's facing south or west, you're hitting into the sunset, and nobody wants to do that because you can't keep track of your golf balls. But facing north or east,
Sometimes that's a blessing.
people can enjoy the,
Okay.
This one's proposed to shoot east, right?
this is gonna propose to northeast.
Northeast.
I guess
'cause-
parallel along Pleasant Grove Boulevard.
Yeah, so parallel PG Boulevard, so you're hitting into the mountains.
Hitting into
Okay.
Timpanogos Mountain and more specifically the flag.
So
we
it's
just
not
talked
gonna be
about.
running parallel to I-15, it's gonna be
Okay.
running
Right.
this way.
So what, is the Syracuse even a comparison since it's 10 years old? Like, if we wanted to get an idea of what this complex is like, we could travel there and see it. Is it even a comparison at this point, though, with it being 10 years old?
Yes, so if you go online right now on YouTube and you type in Rush Funplex Syracuse, Utah, there's several people reviews, customer reviews. I've been there personally with my children, so has Melissa with her children on separate occasions. We stayed for about 5 hours. It was a blast. It was full. This was before COVID-19 happened, so back in January, but it was fun. And it looks newer, modern. As mentioned, Matt owns his own construction company, so he's remodeled inside and out. It doesn't look dated. It looks vibrant and alive.
Truett, oh, sorry,
No, no,
go
go
ahead, no, go ahead.
And again, the West Jordan, you said, was it breaking ground or the building's opening?
So the building is currently being built.
Okay.
Matt, what's your completion rate right now? Are you at about what percentage?
We're just about, so the block walls are all up. We're putting up structural steel on the inside right now. So we hope to be fully closed in within the next month and a half to 2 months.
And Matt, are all of the buildings designed the same, and are they independently owned and operated? Is this like a franchise, or is there a same look and feel to all of the buildings?
The Rush Funplex is just myself and my brother that we own.
Okay.
So it's not a franchise. As Truett mentioned, everything moving forward, starting with Jordan Landing, will be this prototype. If you were to visit Syracuse, you'd see, I mean, it started out as 35,000 square feet. It's been expanded and remodeled multiple times. We've finally kind of, over the experience of the last 10 years, consolidated into what we feel is the most efficient and, best use of space into this prototype.
I just got online here on your virtual tour. Is this your Syracuse location?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing we pride ourselves in is that everything is indoor. We don't have outdoor venues. We do that so that people don't have to decide if they want to have their corporate party or their birthday party, if it's going to be good weather that day, if their birthday's in the winter or the summer, it doesn't matter. So everything's indoors. A lot of it is glow-in-the-dark type venues. We're the only glow-in-the-dark go-karts that there are, not in the state, but only in the state, but I think there's only one other one in the whole United States. So
Sounds great. Matt, we look forward to it. Yeah, and Truett, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any other questions for the council or for Matt? Well, council, let's, go ahead, Scott.
At this point, we'll start working with them as they prepare the application. So the Big Shots right now is not allowed in the zone. It's considered a driving range, and that's not an allowed use. So that will probably be one of their first applications in order to get that changed.
So just to be clear, Scott, so they could potentially build a Rush Funplex given the current code?
Yes, that's my understanding. Where's Daniel? Yes. Yeah,
Okay, so it would just be the driving range that would need to be added to the code if this was appropriate?
yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, they'll do the appropriate paperwork for that. That will, of course, run through Planning Commission. And then it's up to them if they have a comfort level enough to start working on a site plan. They have already met with our staff on a DRC, which is really the first step for us to look at issues in the development and things that they need, the kind of the low-hanging fruit of things they need to take care of. So that step's already happened. There are some timing issues with them purchasing the property. We're working with them on that, just with where Atrium is and kind of what they need to do. So, a master plan development, and this is generally speaking what we're looking at. I'm trying to get in their mind a few more restaurants on the periphery. That would be nice. I know that there's a restaurant inside the Big Shots, but if you look at the Topgolf in Midvale, they have like 10 restaurants just right next to it. So
Well, we're looking for a draw.
yeah,
We're looking for a venue that will bring people from other cities into our city. And, restaurants would go along well with this type of an activity. So,
Matt, is that a consideration?
Absolutely. We feel like if we create an entertainment hub, for me personally, a 20-acre parcel, and I understand that this is a special piece of property for the city with some history, and rightfully so. It's a great piece of property, and we want, I think the common goal is to make the best use of that property, and restaurants would be great for us surrounding these facilities. Anything we can say, just like you said, create a draw and create something that, takes a question out of people's mind where they want to head for the weekend or for their corporate parties. That's what we want.
thanks, Matt.
well, and part of it for a developer is once there's an official announcement they're coming, that helps. Because then people know that there's something that is an anchor to help them with their restaurant. Or when it starts going vertical, then that helps them secure leases on that type of stuff. So whatever they can get before they even have to do that is fantastic, but that's generally how that works, is that some of this might just come along a little bit more in a second wave as opposed to right away.
So council, if I'm reading you right, I think we're all positive in this concept and would like to see more.
I think so. I'm there.
Thoughts? Everyone else is quiet but me and you.
What's that?
Everyone else is quiet but me and you.
I saw some nods.
Good.
Well, yeah, I want to reiterate, this is not approval.
Right.
This is now them
Just
coming
like the
back and presenting something. The council at any time, if they just disagree and decide that this isn't something that you want to have happen, you eventually be taking votes on this. For the time being, this is just, hey, they're showing you a concept, and what do you think?
I think that's what we're open to right now is a concept
Sure.
and just seeing
Yep.
as we move a little bit further what it could be down in that area. So
Yep.
I'm open to that.
Concept and site plan.
All right,
Okay.
so that's it for this, and we can probably, Matt, we're going to disconnect you now,
All right.
Thank you for joining us,
Appreciate it.
Matt.
Joining us.
unless you want to listen to the rest of our city council meetings.
That's okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
See chuckles.
So our next item on our work session is a report from our Justice Court, Judge Randy Birch.
Yep, so we'll just turn it over to Judge Birch.
Thank you very much. I know it's maybe hard to believe, but I'm actually excited to be here. And tell you a little bit about what we've been doing and where we're at, and how proud I am of my staff. I got to tell you. But I wanted to start briefly with just an overview of the court system. I mean, I haven't been here since y'all hired me a year and a half ago. I think I snuck in at one meeting. Eric was there, but having said that, the system that we're dealing with, the justice courts, they're not JP courts like some people have talked about, but they have their basis in the Utah Constitution, that there will be one court not of record. Now, we record them, so I don't know how they're not of record, but I think what they're really saying is one court where you don't have the formal appeal process where all this has to go on. Basically, the one court for the people. And that's why I love this job, okay? I got to tell you, and I really appreciate the opportunity you've given me to be your justice court judge. The rules, the court system changed back when I first started practicing law. I'm not going to speak for Brent. There was a district court, and then a circuit court, and then a justice court. and in approximately 89, I believe it was, they merged the circuit and JP courts, giving the Justice Court a lot more power and authority and doing away with the circuit court. I find it interesting because now 20 or 30 years later, there's talk about going back to the old system. I don't know where that's going to go, but for now, we are where we're at. The things that we handle in my court include misdemeanors, B, Cs, and infractions. You say, what does that mean? Well, that means if you get a speeding ticket, I deal with it. If you get drug or alcohol charges, I deal with it. If you get a little out of control one night, I'm going to end up dealing with it, okay?
Eric, that's you.
Not you guys, of course.
Well,
just-
I know, it is Eric Jensen.
It's me. That's why I was here that day.
The more serious charges are domestic violence, assault, drug use, driving under the influence, and that kind of thing. And also, let's not forget enforcing traffic laws, without which we would be in a bit of a quandary, and COVID-19 has proven that to be a bit accurate, so I've been told. Our court is city limits. The county has a justice court, but I sit over offenses that occur within the city limits. I was appointed by the city council, as I'm sure you know, and been there now a year and a half. Did I mention I'm happy to be here? I got to tell you, when I first started, it wasn't quite necessarily that way. It was a bit of a challenge, but I'll address that in a second. Currently, judges have to sit for retention every 6 years. So if I really screw up, lobby people to throw me out at the end of the 6 years. But I'm doing everything in my power to make sure you're not only okay with me, but happy to have me as your Justice Court judge. There are currently 81 different judges that sit in 123 different courts throughout the state.
Wow.
Now, as I mentioned, I was appointed April 1st, 2019. About that time, one of my clerk's husbands was killed in an accident. She quit. I couldn't blame her. Another one retired for the second time, and the third one quit. Hence my comment about things were challenging at the start. But I got to tell you, and I wish they were here so they could hear me, but if you see them, give them a pat on the back. First, we hired Karen Feld. Karen, quiet, no court experience at all. I still had one clerk that was a lot of experience, and I felt like she'd be a good match. I got a little bit of feedback on that issue, but she has turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful example of patience and tenacity. Relatively quiet gal, and with no experience on the job, and she sat through some, what I would say, hellacious weeks in administration where we tried to figure out who we're going to hire and how we're going to get them. But she has been demonstrated amazing resilience, and is a great, in essence, she got thrown into the deep end without swimming lessons, and she has done an admirable job. We pilfered from Saratoga Springs. I used that as a badge of honor. I'd worked with Rachel Bringhurst out at Saratoga Springs. When we needed some help, she came in and filled in the gaps. And I liked her, the city liked her, and she decided she'd like to stay with us. So we climbed onto her, and she has been a lot of fun. If you don't know Rachel, you ought to learn her, ought to get to know her. She's upbeat, happy, capable, conscientious, and she's knowledgeable about the court system, as she had worked over in Saratoga Springs for a couple of years. And she works her heart out. She really does. But I got to tell you, the crowning achievement for the city was getting Mara Butler. Mara, I got to tell you, it was a terrible interview. We interviewed, I'm sure Christina would agree, it was like, we really want to hire her? But fortunately for me, I'd seen her in action. She had filled in a couple of days when we needed some help, and I said, she's good. I promise you, she's good. And fortunately, they believed me and went with her. She was fantastic. She not only had many years of experience as the in-court clerk in Midvale, but she had a willingness to modify, adapt, create new things, try new things. It was blessing. I mean, it truly was manna from heaven, so to speak. I can honestly say now that I love this job. I look forward to serving every week. My wife's getting suspicious. She says, "How can you come home from Pleasant Grove with a smile on your face?" I go, "It's a great job. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great place to work." And for that, I thank you all. Now to the nasty, yucky stuff. COVID, yes, we have to deal with it too. We have not had in-person court for many months. There's my crew.
Helping you out here.
Thank you. Except for the guy on the top left, good-looking crew. We are not having any current face-to-face hearings. I don't know of anybody in Utah County yet that has been given the go-ahead. Wasatch County got it today. My court will be meeting with them next Tuesday to get the approval so we can at least phase up a little bit. The court system has gone to a little different system. It's still green, yellow, or red, but they dropped the orange. Like I said, I didn't want to play nice with the governor. I don't have a clue what is up about that.
And Judge Birch, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So if you can properly social distance, you got the bench and the, I don't know what this area is called for court. What is it called? The gallery? Okay. So if you can properly social distance, what would the reasoning be for not being able to meet in person?
Well, see, that's the benefit of my position. I don't get to ask that question. I think it's been total hocus pocus myself, up to a certain level, okay? I'm not saying that they don't have their reasonings, but when you've got a beautiful new building, which, again, I feel blessed, okay? Thank you very much. Getting this done just to let me come play. But I've got all this room and all this space.
Like, is there some
We
courtrooms
do-
that don't
in-
allow that?
In yellow, I can do social distancing and still have hearings, okay? But in the red, which we are currently in, we are just, it wasn't, there's no logic to it. It says you cannot do it.
One of the problems, just so you're aware, is the decision as to what takes place in the court comes from the judicial council.
Right.
And so, even though the judge, and it doesn't make any sense, the judicial council is the one who sets the rules in the state. And they've said there will be no in-court
And
until.
there was an order issued 1st of March. And then
Yes.
it was April, and then it was updated in May. And they're sticking by the no hearings until you get to this lower level. And so I will be trying to get that plan,
And if you think it's
get the plan
difficult,
together before then.
if you think it's difficult in the justice court, in the district court, they have individuals who are sitting on capital homicide cases, and they're going nowhere.
Yeah. And the delay of justice is part of the concern. We're entitled to a speedy trial. Well, what does that mean in COVID? Hopefully I don't have to find out, but we may. So I've been dictated certain rules, and there's a long 8-page checklist of things I have to address. When you're going to wear a mask, when you're not going to wear a mask, where you're going to walk, enough. And I'll get through that. But I have to submit that to the AOC, Administrative Office of the Courts, for approval, and that's the management committee that Brent's referring to. But again, until the county certifies that this area is not, is stable and/or reducing, there's nothing to approve because they're not going to approve anything. So in the meantime, we're doing the best we can. Everything's video. But we're hoping to move to the next level shortly. We're doing self-checks. We have a thermometer in the back. We've been lucky. And again, it's a tribute to these young ladies because I've had defense counsel say, you guys get more done in Pleasant Grove than any other court I've been in. Well, it's not me, folks, I'm here to tell you. Yeah, I'm there, I'm cheerleading, right? But these are the ladies doing the work, because it really is, they do twice as much, they get half as much done with twice as much effort, but it's what takes to be done to make it happen in this current environment. So we're currently in red, we're hoping to go to yellow. That will allow for some face-to-face meetings, a little bit of loosening of that. There are some things that even in yellow, we still can only put one person for 36 square feet. I'm gonna have to measure this and calculate it in order to get my plan approved. But again, thank heavens I have plenty of space, and I'm not too worried about that. Again, some of the parts of the plan I think are silly, but they're mandated by those on top, and I have to comply. So when they say, well, what's your plan for entering the building? Enter on the right-hand side, walk down the hall, exit on the left-hand side. Okay, that's a plan. I have to write that down. Don't give me. Anyway, enough said. I again appreciate, if you want more information, I'd be happy to give you the 8-page checklist I got to work through. But
No, thanks. I think
Ryder's already
We're
got
good.
it.
we'll let you handle that,
Yeah, I
Judge.
figured that. Last,
We've worked on that 9 square mile map of requirements.
and I appreciate the city getting me the things that I need to do my job. I feel very comfortable. As I mentioned, that was humongous. Is that a word? I don't know if it is or not, but
Yes.
humongous improvement, I think, for y'all, but it also for me. It made my life, well, it makes for a good day at the office, shall we say. The city's has gotten me, I think, everything I need. We got a couple of things we are working through. I'd like to get criminal reports, and we have to have specially certified people, but again, that's something that we're getting worked through. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take 13 minutes, but believe it or not, I cut it short. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Any questions, I'm
coming
happy
up.
to answer them, or you can pitch them to me when you're not in session, too.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we still have some time left, and maybe we'll have our fire department come forward and give us an update on how everybody's doing. Hopefully it's slowed
Jake?
down a little bit.
Today has been slow, which is good. Kind of gives us a little bit of a break.
He just came on when it got slower.
I've been here since, Friday?
Okay.
No, Saturday. Friday night. I can't remember. It's been a few days. So just to give you guys an update with the Battle Creek 2 fire, as of this morning, it was 38% contained.
Wow.
It's a total of 188 acres in size. They do have containment lines in place, so they're working on wrapping that whole fire. Kind of their goal is to wrap that whole fire and get it that 100% containment. They do have 100 personnel still on the fire up on the mountain working the fire, so they still have hot spots within inside that containment line that they're working on. So they'll continue to have smoke pop up here and there. People are calling 911. People are still calling the fire station asking, do you guys know about the fire? And yeah, so
Yeah,
trying
we
to
do.
get rest with phone calls and all that, it's been kind of complicated. But yeah, they'll continue to see smoke for the next few days. The Type 3 team that's on it right now, they will be hopefully leaving by Thursday or Friday, depending on how the fire goes the next day or so. And then they'll turn it over to another team that's local that will just kind of monitor and go from there. So, and then as far as our units, so our brush truck was on it from Saturday all the way till Monday morning with 3 guys, nonstop.
Wow.
So we took crews and swapped them out after that initial attack. They were tired, they were beat. Swapped them out, and we spent the night Sunday just in the grass and watching the fire and making sure nothing went anywhere into the homes. We did end up evacuating roughly 35 homes along 1400 East and that 1380. So that was kind of how that went. Do you guys have any other questions about that Battle Creek 2 fire going on right now?
Just, I mean, the kind of question I get the most is about the cause, and I guess according to the press release today, it said that it was human cause, but they don't know if it was intentional or not. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
So that's kind of what they've told us. It's looking human caused, but they had a federal investigator up there day one, right after everything kind of calmed down. And they were able to do their investigation, but we haven't heard anything as far as what they're suspecting other than it's human caused.
Do we know if it was started on our property or federal property?
Yeah, so it's really right there on the border. So they're saying that it did start in Pleasant Grove borders. So
Which would be where up at Kiwanis?
it's like,
Top,
Like the pavilion right
north.
there?
yeah, it's just above the pavilion.
yeah,
You know where that
northeast
that
corner.
fence was up in there?
Uh-huh.
It's somewhere right in there. So they're suspecting that it started right on that border of Pleasant Grove's border with Forest
Okay.
or county. There's some county stuff up in there, but the awesome part is when the initial call came out, Captain Walcott made the right calls as far as we need to get new FC on board, which is Northern Fire. They do all the wildland stuff. And there's a Forest Service individual that kind of helps us out with our wildland program and stuff like that, and he was initially dispatched as well. So from that initial dispatch, they take full responsibility from there on. So today, he came down, had us sign some paperwork as far as passing that, all that monies goes to the state, they take care of that. So we won't see anything as far as costs. That's part of that, we call it a PC, it's an agreement with the state that we do every year with the fire department as far as mutual agreements. So, kind of takes care of that issue.
What about the Battle Creek 1 fire? Do we know the cause of that?
We still don't know the cause of that, haven't heard anything. So, they're suspecting human caused as well. There was no weather or anything like that up there, so.
And are the chances of both the Battle Creek 1 and 2, the cause ever being pinpointed, what are the chances? Like, do they continue to investigate, or at what point do they just say it was human
It's
caused and that's it?
super hard, especially probably the Battle Creek 1 fire, just with, they don't know who was really up there other than a few hikers or things like that. But this one down here, there's suspected kids, there's suspected campfires up there, so it's kind of hard. For them, it might be a little easier to pinpoint that, but I didn't talk to the investigator, so I don't know what he found and what he was able to determine, so.
Do we have to request that report from them? Like, does PG Fire Department have to request that, or do they let us know, or how does that
I
work?
would imagine that we'd have to request something from them if we wanted to know, but
Okay.
they may let us know where it was started on this side.
And are campfires prohibited up there right now?
What's that?
Are campfires prohibited up at,
Yeah, you can't have campfires up there right now.
even in the ring?
Yeah, it's got, even in the ring, they're saying no campfires.
But were they prohibited before this?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say if the Forest Service has contacted me and they will report back to us.
That'd be great.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then just more updates, there was a house fire along with that on Sunday that the crew responded to after they'd been on the mountain all day long.
And all
It's by-
night long.
Yeah, all night long. It was by Kathy's home, right next door. So,
Wow.
she sustained a little bit of damage from that as well.
Wow.
The house,
the
not
house,
her,
not-
she might have felt
She's
some
melted on
damage,
one
but-
side.
Yeah. So, as far as the cause of that, it's undetermined at this point. It did start in the garage, so,
How much of the house is damaged?
quite a bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it got a pretty good start before we were even called, is what they're thinking, just based on.
How much damage was already done?
Yeah, how much damage was already there. When they arrived, it was already, that garage was fully involved.
Wow.
So it'd been going. The family is displaced. They have family nearby that they'll be able to stay with. But they're guessing about 300,000 in loss
Wow.
as far as the home. And then a lot of their contents and stuff like that got water damage and smoke damage from that, but it is salvageable. So it sounds like it got from the garage up into the attic, and they were able to save a lot of that stuff inside their home, so. And no injuries from any of the firefighters or anybody around. Nobody was in the home at the time, so that worked out good, so.
It was a real impressive attack on that, and then with our mutual aid,
Yeah,
that, boy, what would we do
quick.
without them? I mean, they're right there with us, so.
yeah. And it's awesome to have that mutual aid with the other cities. They do awesome in helping us, and in turn, we go help them, so it
Yeah.
works out good. But, other than that, that's it on that house fire. And then we do have a crew in Oregon right now with our, engine. Right now, they're in Butte Falls, Oregon. It's kind of that southwest corner of Oregon. They're doing structure protection with our engine, protecting those people's homes from that fire. So we have Chief Gusman, Chief Ingeman, Zach Larson, and Curtis Hutchison out there right now. So that's all I have, unless you have any other questions.
Anything else for the captain?
You're awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Give the guys our thanks.
We will.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we, Chief, do you want to, Chief Roberts, you want to come forward? We still have about 4 minutes here. And we appreciate you, Chief, for all your assistance and everything going
Wow.
on last few
Yeah, our guys
days.
did a good job.
So,
They did most of the grunt work. The fire guys did all the hard work, so.
Well, somebody had to knock on, somebody had to make sure the traffic
There was a lot of looky-loos up there.
Oh,
It was a
my
nightmare.
goodness, it was a nightmare.
A lot of,
It was like a fireworks show. It's like people thought they needed to come in.
Well, and the problem is that people that were potentially going to be evacuated had cars parked in front of their
their
driveways.
And you'd be surprised how many people go up there and park their cars and then get out to try to
And they
walk
got
up.
out, and they were,
No.
no,
And
the
then
cars
you
were
can't move their
parked.
cars.
You can't move them.
So, the good thing about it up there was a lot of escape routes to try to move people in and out. You can go east or west and get out of there, so that was a good thing, but. So it was good to help them. We tried to help them as much as we could on the house fire and help get Kathy's cars moved out of the way. Felt bad for that, but, it's been busy, so we tried to help them as much as we can. Have a couple of people in Hell Week for SWAT. They finished tonight, so they'll graduate at 10 o'clock tonight, so that'll be good. It's been a long 5 days for them. They get about 3 hours of sleep a night, so.
Are you down one, or are you fully staffed now?
I hired a girl last week, but she can't start until October. We don't have the manpower to train her until October, so she can't start until then, so.
And with her, you'll be fully staffed.
But with her, we'll be fully staffed,
Great.
yeah.
Nice
So,
job, Chief.
Cross your fingers.
For a week.
Cross your
something else
fingers.
happens.
One of our guys in Hell Week popped his shoulder pretty good, so we're hoping that doesn't.
Oh, no.
That doesn't
On duty?
during one of the training
Oh,
things.
During Hell Week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
okay.
Been busy. We had an interesting call on Saturday, actually a really dangerous call that turned out okay for us. Okay, I say okay, but it could have been deadly. Saturday morning at about 9:30 in the morning, American Fork got a call of a reckless driver trying to run cars off the road. We started getting some calls. They went down in the area, couldn't locate it. The car cleared the area. We started getting some calls of a tan Jeep, one of the old style box Jeeps like the Cherokees, driving up on people's lawns in the northwest area of PG. So Officer Garcia went out there and was able to locate the Jeep, and it was driving erratic and crazy, driving up on people's yards. He and Sergeant Adamson were out there. We have a no pursuit policy in PG, so we don't pursue unless it's a life or death situation. So they located the vehicle, followed the vehicle. As they were pulling up on the vehicle, there was a female that was jogging up the street on the sidewalk, and the vehicle pulled up off the roadway and tried to hit the female. She jumped behind a telephone pole, and at that point it was obvious that he was trying to hit the female, so it became a deadly force issue. So they gave pursue. The individual drove towards American Fork. American Fork was able to, he crossed into city lines. Doing so, mind you, he spent more time driving through people's yards than he did on the roadway. People were doing yard work.
I mean, that's unreal that he honestly did not hit.
People walking
hit
on the
a bike.
sidewalk, and
That's-
so we're trying to to mirror him on the roadways as he's driving up on the yards. He drove to Art Dye Park in American Fork, went right through the parking lot into the park. I mean, there's kids playing, families playing, hit some tables in the park. And it's kind of hard for us to pursue because we can't play by the same rules that he can, so we just try to mirror. We lost him. Lone Peak was able to pick him up, pulling out of the parking lot by the golf course up there onto the highway, and he turned back down towards the junior high in American Fork. So Lone Peak and American Fork were able to pursue. Corporal Peterson, who happened to be in the area, was able to jump back in it. He was the only canine on duty in the north end, and so he joined in just in case they needed an apprehension dog if they could get the vehicle stopped. He drove down Center Street. There's a little cafe called Tangi's in American Fork. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a table because of COVID. They have some tables on the side of the Center Street there. And there were two families eating on the tables. He drove up over the sidewalk and just completely obliterated those tables. The families were lucky to get out of the way. One of the waitresses was pinned by the table up against the wall. So at that point, Corporal Peterson was able to locate him. He pulled inside Wendy's parking lot. Wendy's was dead. There was nobody in there. And if you've been in Wendy's parking lot, it's a dead end in the back. So he was able to perform a pit maneuver on him, which is I don't want to say a ram type of a maneuver, but try to spin him out. So he did that. The guy lost his tires, but didn't give up. Drove back up over the curb and out.
Saturday morning?
Saturday morning, yeah, we followed.
busy.
During this as well, one of the parts I left out, coming down the highway when he passed the junior high, he drove through the American Fork Cemetery, literally drove through the wall, drove over some headphones. There was a burial going on at the time. He drove through the group of people, went to the fountain, jumped out of the fountain, took his shirt off, jumped around on the fountain screaming, "I'm going back to prison, boys, I'm going back to prison." I mean, this guy had a serious mental episode, and jumped back in his car, and that's when he went down and went through Tangi's. But anyways, long story short, he drove down past a Chinese restaurant on 5th East in American Fork, and it's a dead end, and he finally his tires were gone, and his vehicle was immobile, and so he got out and just jumped out and laid down on the ground, and he had Leonard Skinner cranked in his vehicle, and he started screaming, "I'm going back to prison where I belong, I'm going back to prison where I belong." So he was taken into custody and charged with like 16 counts of attempted murder, and so we're lucky that nobody died that day, but it was a good collaboration between AF and Lone Peak and us. And and honestly, the dispatch, central dispatch thing was a really, I mean, in days past when we had our own dispatch, for us to do that, dispatch would have had to patch us through to other jurisdictions, and then we would have had to get on the radio and explain, "Hey, this is what we've got, this is what's going on," and they would have to have a supervisor to get their guys involved. And now everybody can hear everybody's traffic. It made for the
coordinated.
The functionality and the coordination worked out well. But yeah, we're lucky somebody didn't die. So
Awesome.
Amazing.
crazy.
Awesome and scary. Thanks, Chief.
Now, no other report's going to be as good as
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You know what? Don't even come up.
No,
Any
we're
other
gonna-
director?
we're gonna
Just
have,
stay there.
Sherry's going to come up and explain the library now.
We don't even want to hear from anyone else.
Well, and back to that comment about the coordination, so I was listening on the scanner during the fire, and it was very beautiful to listen to this coordinated effort of information. And anyway, one question, we used to get in the mornings when we did have our own
Yeah,
dispatch.
Eric's asked me about that.
Okay.
Here's the deal with that, and I'm trying to figure out a way to.
Make it happen.
The problem is when we had our own dispatch, as they would take calls in, they would redact the information as the call came in, and then at the end of every morning they would send that out. Central Dispatch won't do that for us.
Right.
So legally, I can't send that information out to anybody because the personal information is not redacted. So I have to figure out a way to do that. And
Well, and I don't know if it's important, but
Well, we just
it was
need
just
Jade
nice.
back.
It
Yeah.
was nice
It
for
was
us
nice.
to know, like
was.
in this 24-hour period,
Yeah.
we had this many calls, you know, we had this
And we can
many-
figure something like that out. I'll have Jade back in 2 weeks and we'll figure something out. It might not be as,
Detailed.
as detailed as there was because I can't redact all the information.
Chief,
but-
we already know Sid and Diana's address. You don't need to redact those. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was Diana's house, so anyway.
Or one of Diana's people. That is that's an amazing story. Who did you say so we have Peterson,
Garcia, Dominic
Garcia,
Adamson,
and
and
Dominic.
Josh Motzinger was off duty. He was out and he was off duty, but it was good to have him out there and he assisted as well, so.
okay.
I can't believe it, no one was hurt.
I
or
can't
killed.
either. It totally blows
honestly.
my mind. The guy he lived in Cedar Fort and he's had some issues for a couple of months. The sheriff's office dealt with him and he just wanted to go back to prison.
But
That's
why,
where
I wonder why he came all the way out here, though.
I don't know.
I just,
Have you ever been to Cedar Fort?
He could have been doing that and no one would have minded.
and no one cared.
No one
I mean,
cares.
even Art died. There's like soccer games from 8
Yeah.
a.m.
Oh,
until
I
5
know.
There
a.m.
were a
What's-
lot of
what's
people
going
out there,
on
but
Oh my
the good thing
gosh.
is it was flat and they could hear our lights and sirens from a mile away,
So
so
everyone
they
kind of
could,
paid attention and
they could
stuff.
kind of see that, hey, this is headed our
Oh
direction.
my gosh.
So,
Anything else, Chief?
Thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate you. With that, we will now adjourn. If I have a motion to adjourn, do I have that?
So moved?
Motion, do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.